right? So the Overlook, it means everything to me, right? Because that's the project that showed me I can do this forever, right? And the Overlooked was, and this is no disrespect to where I'm from, right? Because I'm based in Memphis, but I'm originally from Middle Tennessee, right? So like I'm from Smyrna, Tennessee, but I just say Nashville because motherfuckers don't know where Smyrna is. So it's just easy to say Nashville, right? But I'm based in Memphis now. And so when you are in your home area, good or bad, they only know you for who you are, right? But not who you're trying to be. And so when I got out here to Memphis, everything changed. It was like, okay, all right, I can do this. Like, I'm Tyke T out here. I'm gonna be Tyke T, and this is who I am, right? And so still though, you got people just telling you what you can and cannot do. I think that's just the way of the world. And it's really not, that young man who was so crazy with the drive and stuff like that. If I was one thing I can tell him, it's like, bro, it's not really personal to you. It's more about they're just putting their expectations of what they think they can do on your life. And that's just what a lot of people do. Like, there was a time where people were like, you got to ride a horse and carriage to go somewhere. But a motherfucker came around and was like, nah, we can create something, the car, you know what I'm saying? And we can do something different. But it just takes that thought for it to be there. So, you're knocking on all these doors and it seems like everybody's telling you what you can't do. So I'm like, I'm gonna internalize that, right? I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna take those energies and I'm gonna push something out that you will not be able to deny. And if you don't like it, that's fine, but I'm going to work this album until the wheels fall off, to the point that you're gonna know me just like you know Bill Gates, just like you know Jamie Foxx, just like y'all know who Oprah is, just like you know who all these people are, all these. And if you've never seen the cover, it's like a yearbook of all of greats in my eyes when they started out. And I know they were doubted just like that. And I put myself in there because it's like the things we've been able to do. I knew at that moment I was still gonna be where they're, and I still got a million things to do. Oh my God, like Oprah's a billionaire, right? Like I ain't, I got a million things to do, but the Overlook, it was the beginning of where we're at today. Like, it really showed me that I can do this. But like, back to what you said, like the process is like learning how I wanted. It shaped me as an artist so much because it taught me what I didn't want. Like, I know, okay, that ain't the way I want the mix to sound anymore. Not now. We got to get it like here. Going to studios, just the early process, writing songs, like, trying to make sure I understand how the beat is like, export it out, right? Like, I had to learn all these things because at the very beginning, I wasn't really working with a lot of producers like face to face. I was on SoundClick. So anybody that's growing up that was rapping back then, we was on SoundClick, like looking up beats and downloading for $25 leases and rapping to them, right? The only thing about that is though, the beat is already pre-made. So I don't know where the intro is. I don't know where the hook start. I don't know how many bars this is. Like, that helped me so much learn to how I want the beat, how I want everything. It was such an amazing process, and it's something I'll never be able to get back to, right? And sometimes I hate that because sometimes it's like, in life you still gonna get overlooked. Like, Big Sean them drop albums and they still think they doubted on. They're like some of the biggest stars in the world. You always gonna be overlooked, but I think you always have to continue to progress too. That's the other thing about the overlook, because I'll never be able to get back to that spot. I'll never be able to get back there. But I love that music so much because it's so raw, it's so real. Like, I remember those, like, it's crazy how music can always take you back to a spot you'll always remember. I can remember those spots where people are booing me, and I can remember it. But it was like, are you gonna quit or are you gonna keep on going? And I was like, well, fuck that shit. We got to keep going. And luckily, I was able to get that album. I was able to get 6 out of those 8 songs. They're still on TV right now. Like on various shows, like VH1, the T.I. Family Hustle, the Basketball Wives, Love and Hip Hop Miami. Like, it was a show on MTV, Follow the Rules, the Ja Rule show. Like, those songs are still, I mean, I ain't even trying to be cocky. Those songs are still bringing me checks. And I wrote that album like almost 8-9 years ago because I told them people back then, like, I'm going to show y'all. And I was able to position that into a lot of sync placements, which was just a blessing, So, but yeah, I love that album, man. And it's so crazy. You talked about The Last Dance. I literally just watched like episode 6 last night, like before I went to sleep, because I'm always watching it because he's like, obviously everybody loved Michael Jordan. There's nobody that didn't like Michael Jordan. But the thing about Michael Jordan, I think people lose, he was the best player and he was the hardest worker. And when you ever put those together, that's when you get a conglomerate. That's when you get 3 straight. Did he go play baseball, digging around? Did he come back, win 3 more? Why? Because he was the best player, plus his practice. They like if you listen to him, they be like, man, these games was cool, but you should have came to our practice. Because if you practice it how you want it to get done, it's easy. It's so crazy because a lot of my practices, motherfuckers be like, bro, why you going so hard? It's just rehearsal. Because it's rehearsal. Because by the time I get on stage, I won't have the time to think. I'll black out. I'll be in another zone. So it needs to be muscle memory. It needs to be to the point where I can just go to sleep and I know what happens, right? That's why I practice this hard. And like, he's one of my biggest influences when I take a lot of sports stuff and put it into my whole regimen. Like right before I get to a show, people be like, man, there go Tyke, he going in his zone. Why? Because I can remember some of my greats talking about like, they got to go to this place because I can't be here. Like other people might be sitting around and watching people perform. Like I gotta like disconnect myself and I gotta get ready for what I have to do because it's time. Like this is my show. I'm not Kobe, RIP. I'm not MJ. I can't hoop. But what I can do is get myself into my zone. This is my basketball. This mic is, and I have to make sure that I put in that work. I gotta make sure I practice. Like about it. Like when I look at those greats, I study them. I study to see what they did. I study Michael Jackson. Like I study Beyonce. I study Prince. Like I watch them because I want to be the great. I want to be the greatest. I watched Bobby Brown. Like I watched Bobby Brown's concert like 2 weeks ago. Why? Because I want to know what were they doing because it ain't rocket science. And what they did was they were great. They rehearsed all the time and they put in the work. And that's what I'm here to do. Like I'm not afraid of the work. Now, you know what I'm saying? People gonna put expectations on what your success is at all times. But what they'll never be able to say is that nigga didn't put in the work. And that's one thing I'm always gonna make sure, like, whatever, that might have not been my greatest show, but rest assured I practiced 2 weeks ahead of time, at least, at the minimum. Like, rest assured I know these words back and forth. Rest assured I know when that person supposed to do it, like, these are the things that we're gonna know because it's time to put in the work, it's time for that grind at all times.